All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the show. And if you're a first timer, thanks for joining us. I am a 5.5 year amputee, above the knee, left side. And I just hop on here weekly, kind of to give you some insight to what I go through as an amputee and hopefully motivate you and empower you to live the best life you can despite circumstances you are going through. Now, in the past, we have had lots of talks about getting the positive mindset and everything. And, I played sports all my life. And so to say going through my injury back in 2013 in karate was a big setback for me mentally and physically is an understatement. I spent from 2013 to 2018 trying everything under the sun to get my knee to heal correctly. And that includes Western medicine, Eastern medicine, and every unique, weird, out of the box thing you could possibly think about to try. And what it came down to for me simply was that I hyperscarred. It's arthrofibrosis. It was in a couple of my reports later on in the 10 surgeries, not right away. And it was something that I actually found that not one doctor told me about. So I actually had to find that info for myself. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to start this podcast. It was to empower, especially people going through amputation, to fight for themselves. And that despite a doctor having his PhD in medicine, you have the PhD in your body and you know yourself. So those things always need to be shared with your doctor when you go into an office visit. You really have to learn how to succinctly describe what you're going through so they completely understand it, not a wishy-washy, it hurts, but literally I would sit there and I would try to figure out what points hurt most on me. When did things start happening? When did I start to scar harder? When did I start losing momentum on PT? I kept mental notes and physical notes of all those things. Now, like I said, I hurt myself in karate. I've always done sports. I always identified as an athlete all my life. When I became a mom, obviously those things became back burner type of things. But once they got older, I started getting back into being physically fit again. And thus the reason why 40-some-year-olds can hurt themselves a little bit more in karate than the 18 to 20-year-olds. So with that being said, I really wanted to talk today about where your focus is. Because when we focus on the immediate problem right here and now, we lose sight of the big picture. And it's also very hard to get out of the mental state you are in when you are focused on the minute detail of every moment now. Now, it sounds contradictory to what I just said, right? Because I'm telling you to make sure you pay attention to those details, but I didn't say live there. It's more of a medical necessity to understanding your body better when you take stock on when and why things happen, how they feel exactly, and where they're hurting. So no matter what you're going through, amputation or a really bad injury or some disease diagnosis, all these things can help you with that. But really the idea is to keep your eyes on the ball. And that is not your injury. The ball is your life. And yes, I'm speaking from a sports metaphor because quite frankly, actually softball was my sport. And that is the one I love dearly and the one that I took the most pride in. So I can tell you from a softball player's perspective, and I did play some college ball, that when you take your eyes off the ball and look out to the field, you're up against a pitcher, and you take your eyes off the ball, you're going to miss the ball. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss what's happening in that moment because you are dreaming about rocketing it or don't strike out because you might be in a slump. Or in the other side of things, I was a third baseman and I would play halfway up the baseline to intimidate the batters. And if I took my eyes off the ball from the moment it released from the pitcher's fingers to the moment that it either hit the catcher's glove or the bat, I could have taken a shot to the face. And there was one I actually caught with my mitt at my nose that would have probably shattered my face. And so taking your eyes off the ball can have some serious repercussions. One, if you're a batter, you could be striking out or popping up. If you are in the field, you're going to miss the important plays that help your team win the game because you can't get off the field if you don't keep your eye on the ball and make sure you get the out. So moving past the baseball, softball metaphor, what is the ball in your life? So, I read something today that was profound. We're all trying to get someplace else, right? We're trying to physically get someplace else, mentally get someplace else. And you know what? The end result is that we die. So the question then has to be asked, why are you in such a hurry to get to that place when you aren't living for where you're at right now? And that's really important. And I miss that all the time. One, because if I'm in pain right now, I don't want to be thinking about it. So I try to get through the day. I try to get past the day. I try to think about what tomorrow might be. Because in the moment, the pain is so bad that that's the last place I want to be in. So I'm not saying you need to wallow in that, but you take what you can for where you're at. So I've been dealing with some phantom sensations that have been pretty extreme. I wouldn't call them phantom pains per se. Last week, yes. Now it's just a lot of the burning that I'm used to, not the intense burning I felt last week. Last week, I felt like someone was toasting my foot like a marshmallow for a s'more. And when that's 24/7 nonstop, constant for 3 or 4 days, it really becomes mind-numbing, and it really starts to really frazzle your emotions, and your mental game isn't as sharp as you'd like it to be, even though you try. But what I'm saying right now is the fact that right now, even speaking to you, I'm feeling the pain in my foot. It's not there, but my foot feels like it's there, and it feels like it is burning. I am not trying to live in that moment, but I'm trying to live in this moment. The fact that I am lucky enough to be sitting here talking to you, lucky enough to know that at least one person will hear this, and maybe that'll change their thinking, it'll change their day, it'll change their life. And if that's what I get from this, then I've done my job on what I set out to do, making a podcast. Because I didn't do it to make money or anything or become famous. I just did it so I could speak my mind in hopes that some of that outlet will help somebody else that's going through something. So if I sit here and I know I'm in pain, I don't want to live in that pain, but I want to live in the moment. And the moment says there's more to my life than the pain in my non-existent foot. It is my 2 dogs that are sitting here, laying next to me, so good and so patient when they could be absolutely crazy and I wouldn't be able to broadcast. I'm excited because we're overcast today. Yay! In Arizona, anytime we can get some shade, we are very, very happy people in the summer. So that is the hope that maybe there's a little bit of monsoon rain coming this evening. And that's very, very exciting because there is nothing better than the smell of the desert after a rainstorm. It's wonderful. And we had one last night, and it was a powerful one. Dust storm through most of the valley, and up here, torrential rains and wind. And after the rain had stopped and we went outside, all you could smell was the desert. The desert smells, a wet desert smell. And it is something to live for. So when I say don't take your eyes off the ball, you need to think about what your ball is. Is it death? Is it the end of your life? Are you just trying to get from here to there and hopefully get there unscathed? Because that's not really living. But maybe your ball is your family. Maybe the ball is just what God wants you to be doing and God being the ball. Maybe it's your job and and finding the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Maybe it is the person you are spending the rest of your life with. For me, my family, right? My kids growing up and becoming men, and my husband, getting closer and closer every year to retirement, and what that looks like for us. But if I'm focused on just, let's get through this, I miss all the beautiful moments between here and getting through something. And you don't want to miss those, because those are the moments worth living for. Those moments, whether it's the smell of a good pizza that comes in your door or out of the oven, or the smell of fresh baked cookies, or the smell of the desert after a rainstorm, or the cuddling of a puppy when they're scared because of the thunder and the lightning. It's those little moments that we don't want to take our eyes off of, because that is what can bring us the joy we need to get through the hard moments. And trust me, there's a lot of them in life, right? Like none of us go without those hard moments, those hard decisions, those physical hard moments, the medical hard moments, the relationship hard moments. We all have it. And even in a good relationship, there are hard moments, right? The truths that come out and the moments that we share when our emotions aren't on the same level, or the same moment that one thing great's happening to one person and something horrible's happening to another person. But those moments are what make life worth living, even when it's hard. So, today I've really been trying hard not to talk your leg off, trying to make this podcast chunks of information that I hope can resonate with you, that you will find hope and peace and some joy in the day-to-day, even in the mundane. I remember a long time ago thinking, as a housewife, I went from being a teacher in a classroom, changing the lives of all these kids, right? Middle school, for all things too, right? Middle schoolers, love them. Didn't want to do elementary, didn't want high school. Those middle schooler kids are the best. But I was changing lives every day. At least that's what the young, motivated and initiative-making young teacher that I was doing. And then I became a housewife, a mom. And I knew that there was a lot riding on that. The foundation we build with our kids and our children at the time, when they're littlest, is profound in their way they live their life as adults. But there is times when you lose who you are, you lose that, and you lose the joy of the day-to-day, because you're so tired and burnt out, and you just need to breathe and take a break and find you again. Not that the you as a parent or a housewife isn't the best in the world. And now in hindsight, gosh, I wished I had this knowledge and this experience to go back and redo it with so much more gusto and energy. But I remember reading something as simple as, find joy in those small things. When you wash the dishes or make a meal, be thankful that there are dishes to wash, because that means there is mouths you're feeding. Be thankful there is laundry everywhere, because that means that you have enough money for the clothes to be on your body and your kids' bodies. And be thankful, and I miss this one most of all, be thankful for the handprints on the windows, because that means there's a little one there, because someday those handprints will be gone. And sure enough, my kids at 20s, the handprints are gone. However, when I tell them that story, they tend to go over and make a big, huge paw print, nice and high, where I can't reach them, being 6'4" and reaching high. But you be careful what you ask for, right? But just, it's those things. Like, if you can just learn to stop looking forward, and every time I think of this, keeping your eyes on the ball, keeping your eyes on the prize, it isn't the next best thing. It is the moment you're in right now. It isn't Christmas morning, because the feeling once Christmas morning's done. It is everything that leads up to that beautiful holiday and that beautiful moment, especially when you have children, because now my kids aren't the little ones ripping into the packages because they're up at 6 a.m. and they can't wait. they're 20 and they want to sleep in and they'll get to it when they get to it. It's totally different now. They're so big now. But I have to remember that now, even in their 20s and being home from college, that these moments are fleeting, and to look forward to those texts, those Snapchats, the quick calls, even the asking for a little bit of extra money, instead of being bogged down by that, finding the beauty in that. So I know this is kind of a far-fetched thought, but I do know right now there are a couple of friends of mine that I follow on Facebook that are really struggling. And I will tell you, it makes me sad to know where they're at, because I've been there. When you hit a mountaintop, you think you're riding the highest wave forever. Sure enough, the moment you think you've got everything figured out and everything's going great, that's when you end up diving into the valley that gets really, really hard. And the experience will drive you back up to the mountaintop, but in the valley, it's very hard to find the positive mindset, the positive momentum, and living in the moment and finding beauty in the moment. So those friends of mine out there right now that are really struggling, whether your phantom pains are out of this world, whether the doctor had to reschedule, whether insurance said no, whether you have an infection now, whether you're going in for a revision or a TMR to remove a neuroma and having another surgical procedure which puts you out of your socket yet again. I see you, and I know it's hard. But if you can find the beauty in this moment right now, you are going to be so much better, so much happier, and so much stronger for the next one. I promise you. So for this week, call to action. Every night this week, write down 5 things that you found beauty in the moment, in this moment today, even if there's something negative happening in your life. I want you to write down 5 things every night, or if you're a morning person, 5 things in the morning from the day before that you slept on and dreamt on. Now, I'm a night person because I like to wrap up that day, close it out with some good sleep, hopefully, and then wake up the next day fresh and ready to go to see what wonderful moments I can find the next day. So if you can, try to do it at night before you go to bed. Have a little notepad by your bedside. Just write the date and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it could be as simple as the desert rain. That's all it has to be. But it'll remind you of something beautiful and something that you lived in that moment that day, versus, oh, my sister's coming to visit in 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks from now. What about right now? So live for the moment. Keep your eyes on the ball. You're going to miss everything else around you if you are looking way past what the ball is bringing to you. So just keep your eyes on the ball. Keep your eyes on your life right now in this moment. Help your mindset out. Find joy and peace right now. And I'm here for you. Please reach out. I love to see the comments on YouTube. If you're looking at my podcast, a lot of the podcast, for some reason, the comments are off, so I can't figure that out. Still trying to figure that out. And keep in mind that I'm also doing every other Wednesday afternoon, evening chats with Dr. Jackie Garcia. We stream live on Instagram. I'm trying to broaden that, but 2 Wednesdays ago was our first one. So please try to join us this Wednesday, today, when you hear this podcast. But it's going to be the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time right now, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can join us on Instagram, that would be awesome. Look up Be a Warrior 360 for my Instagram. Start following me so you see when we post that. And until next time, and as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.